يا ليت اليوم تفهمني وتفهم خاطري ورحل من الشيطان الرجيم قل الحمد لله وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى الله خير أما يشركون أمن خلق السماوات والأرض وأنزل لكم من السماء ماء فأنبتنا به حدائق ذات بهجة ما كان لكم أن تنبتوا شجرها أإله مع الله بل هم قوم يعدلون أمن جعل الأرض قرارا وجعل خلالها أنهارا وجعل لها رواسي وجعل بين البحرين حاجزا أإله مع الله أإله مع الله أإله مع الله بل أكثرهم لا يعلمون أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء ويجعلكم خلفاء الأرض أإله مع الله قليلا ما تذكرون.
Jazakallah khairan of the Prophet. Takbir! 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 Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and family, Jazakallah khairan. Thank you all for coming to this very important CAIR Youth Leadership Program, which gives an opportunity to talk about what has CAIR done in the last year and what are we planning to do in the future. Before I get into that, it's my honor and privilege to introduce to you a man that many of you already know, Dr. Anand Sharif, who is the current president of CAIR St. Louis. He's been the president now for 1 year and he's going into his second year and he'll be welcoming you all to the program. Dr. Anand Sharif.
Assalamualaikum. For the kind introduction. As well known, I'm Dr. Anand Sharif, President of CAIR St. Louis. I've served in this capacity for over a year now. And as you all know, CAIR St. Louis, under the premier and perhaps only Muslim or Islamic civil rights organization in the St. Louis area. We cover much of not only the St. Louis area, but all of Missouri, Iowa, Arkansas, and of course the Metro East area. We really are, in fact, in a sense, CAIR Missouri, but we are still called CAIR St. Louis. Tonight, as you know, we have a fundraising program which is dedicated towards the youth and the future of the youth. And although we have the Executive Director of CAIR Florida, Hassan Shibli, here to speak to us all. We all love our youth, as we know. We spend lots of time, money, and energy and efforts on them. And when they're born, we feed them, we bathe them, give them their immunizations, which is in the news these days, obviously. Then as they get older, spend money on their schooling, private schooling, universities. We spend lots of money and lots of time on them. And our community does too, in terms of the hufaz that we see produced, the Sunday schools that we run, and the results of that in terms of people, children having better knowledge and understanding of their deen that otherwise they perhaps wouldn't have. These are all important things, and inshallah, our children will be successful young professionals. professionals, and inshallah, people with excellent character and understanding of the deen, and we'll have children also future with these type of qualities and have spouses with these type of qualities. But one question we have to ask ourselves is that how much of our resources as a community have we spent in terms of time, money, or otherwise in developing their leadership capacity, in developing their managerial capacity? Have we spent any? This is a little unusual when you think about it, if you compare ourselves to other religious communities. They have active leadership development programs for the youth starting at very young ages. And they've had this not only in the last few years, but they've had this for the last few decades or even more. Leadership, as we know, has a high value to it. If you look at the executives running a publicly traded company, pretty much, you'll see what they're paid. There's definitely a market value, but we're here mainly because we are interested in leadership in the Muslim community. But of course, what leadership skills they have in the community, inshallah, they would have outside of it too. Our children may be excellent professionals in many ways, and whatever is educated in many ways, but are they able to articulate a vision and goal for themselves and for their organization, whether it's the company that they work for, or whatever committee they sit on, or whatever masjid that they sit on the shura for? Are they able to inspire others to share that vision and to work towards that goal? Can they manage others appropriately to maximize their effectiveness, maximize their productivity, and maximize the end result? And once they do, can they lead people to the next level and beyond? There is a specific effort and training involved in this process. It has been debated, are leaders born or made? Well, they can be made. And business schools sometimes wonder if we can train people at a young age to be excellent golfers, or excellent Olympic athletes someday, or other types of athletes, or scientists who win the Nobel Prizes. A lot of them had very early exposure to science education and experiences. Why can't we do that with the next generation of business leaders or other leaders in society? So inshallah, what we're going to do with CAIR St. Louis, what we've already embarked on to some degree, which Abdullah Faizan has been very active with. And we hope to expand that and develop it, not only for this next year, for the years to come, and inshallah for the generations to come. I'd like to see more of our youth someday being the leaders of the non-profit organizations, whether it's environmental organizations, whether it's civil rights organizations like the ACLU, for example, whether it's the museums in the area, and the other civic organizations. I'd like to see them being the CEOs and the top executives. We already have Muslims in that realm, but there's no reason why we shouldn't have more. These are things which we can all invest a very small amount in, and shall see a large return in the near future. So that being said, I'd like you all to give that understanding to, as far as why, have some understanding as far as why this effort is important for all of us and the community here. And also, as I said, we're very fortunate to not just have a speaker here who has lots of credentials and experience, but in particular, someone who is also an executive director of one of the largest CAIR chapters in the entire country, CAIR Florida. And one thing that's been beneficial, just as an aside, is that he's been able to discuss with us on the executive board and Faizan, our executive director, what additional things we should really be looking into doing here in St. Louis. And so inshallah, what we will do is, of course, the main goal of tonight is to raise funds for the leadership development program. But inshallah, if it's possible, and inshallah, if we have a commitment from everyone else, we can try to include some of the things which we are being advised upon by our guest speaker tonight. Without further ado, once again, we'll have Faizan come to the stage and discuss, introduce the speaker to us all. Thank you.
Jazakallah, Dr. Anjum. I just got word. Can the people in the back hear what I'm saying, or is it actually impossible to hear what's going on? You can hear me? Okay. Some, a little bit. I don't know what that means. A perfect solution, which is that they're moving forward. Don't turn the bell. Don't turn the bell. Yeah, don't turn the bell. That's not going to help. The back speakers are right now. But that's okay. If you can't hear, inshallah, move forward. There's 2 tables available in the front, and have you come sit in the front, inshallah. Is that working? Can you talk to the front desk people and see if they can get that?
They don't know anything.
He said they don't know.
They
don't know anything?
My brothers and sisters, I would like to tell you a story. And it's a very amazing story, and it's a story that every one of us lives every single day. But yet very often we don't even think about it. It's a story about every single day, 5 times a day, a large portion of humanity stops what they're doing, stops work, stops enjoying themselves, stops going to school in order to line up in worldwide rows, in order to remember, in order to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is something that's very unique. And of course, the direction that we're praying in is towards the Kaaba. Something unique about that is when the Kaaba was being built, when Ibrahim alayhi salam was building the Kaaba with his son, one of the amazing parts about that is while the Kaaba is being constructed, while the bricks are being laid in order to create that structure, that all of us we want to visit within our lifetime, that all of us we pray to within our lifetime, when literally the foundation of Islam is being built, Ibrahim alayhi salam, being the genius that he is, being the prophet that he is, realized that this building is not enough. That this building, this structure is just the beginning, which is why when the Quran describes the construction of the Kaaba, it describes the dua, the prayer of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And the prayer of Ibrahim alayhi salam is something that each and every one of us has to learn about and has to bring into our life. And that prayer was about his children of Ibrahim alayhi salam. See, Ibrahim knew that that building, if nobody visits it, if nobody goes to it, it has no real value or purpose. But yet the next generation, his children and his children's children, he made a prayer to Allah, asking that they be rightly guided, that they be brought towards that area, that they keep on the faith of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And this is the same type of dua that we need to make today. But more importantly, this is the same type that we need to invest in today. Alhamdulillah, as a community living in St. Louis, we've done it. We have built the masjid. There are now 18 Islamic centers within the city of St. Louis. The brick and the mortar has been constructed. But now it is time for us to start investing in the future of our generation, to create leaders amongst the Muslims in St. Louis and across the world as well. If I would like to take a thought experiment with everybody here, what is the fundamental problem in most Muslim majority countries today? What's wrong with them? Well, some of you will say, well, it's corruption, it's war, it's famine, it's disease. People are kind of mean, they don't know how to drive very well. But the reality is that the fundamental problem within these communities is that there's a lack of leadership within these countries. A lack of leadership on a presidential level, on a kingly level, on a ministry level, on a governance level, but even principals at schools or the individuals there. They don't have proper leaders and they don't have proper governing ability, which is why you see so much chaos happening within the Muslim world. And you also see that inability happening within the American Muslim population. And as Muslims, we are gathered here today in order to provide leadership opportunities for the young Muslim men and women within the St. Louis area. Alhamdulillah, here this last year we started the MILS program, the Muslim Youth Leadership Symposium program. And the idea of that program is to teach our future leaders, the ones who are going to take over the Islamic centers, the ones who are going to one day run Islamic Relief, run CAIR, and run these different organizations, to teach them the skills that they cannot get anywhere else. To teach them the skills of public speaking, debating, meeting elected officials, meeting with the press and actually producing stories, and most importantly, building an Islamic identity. Because the Islamic identity was the first reality that was stripped from the hearts of all of us in this room here today. When you go into the Muslim world or you visit Muslims, even in the United States, the Islamic identity is not built within the hearts of the community. People are Muslim. They have beards, they pray, they do all these things. But yet they do not have the tools they need to look at the entire Muslim ummah and say because I am responsible for the well-being of not only the Muslims, but all of humanity as well. That it is my obligation to provide benefit to every single community around here as well. So CAIR, that's the program we started. Alhamdulillah, we started with 18 students at Al Islam Day School. But our future goal for next year is to expand this leadership program, to expand it in North County and Darul Jalal, to expand it within the Bosnian community, and to expand it within the city, within the Somali and the refugee communities as well. Our goal is not to tell people what to do, but to give them the tools so that way the young generation, they have the ability to create the changes that they so desperately want to need. The masjids will never be full unless we have local leaders, the young, the youth, who know how to fill those masajids. Muslims will never be on the media fighting Fox News, fighting Islamophobia, unless they have the ability to speak properly and debate properly, and even know how to contact the media. And we will never live in a country where the government works sometimes against the American Muslims. 23 states pass anti-Sharia legislation. Republicans openly say that they don't trust Muslims to be in high position. That will not and cannot change unless the young American Muslims learn how to be involved in government. So the reason we're here today is that CAIR needs your help to raise the necessary resources so we can start training up to 60 students every single year on these fundamental leadership skills and leadership programs. I don't want to speak about it myself, but rather I want the students to speak. I want you to hear what the students have to say about their struggles and their challenges as well. We have two very excellent students who will be speaking to you right after I'm done. So with that, I'm going to allow myself to take a step back, and I'll let you introduce our first student, fathers, and then Zahra will speak after that. Both of these students are part of the MILS program as it exists today, and they'd like to share more of what they've been doing. Fathers.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. My name is Faraz Shah. I attend Islamic school right by the Masjid Islam, alhamdulillah. I'm in 8th grade, the oldest of my siblings. I have 2 sisters and a little brother, alhamdulillah. And I'm here to address some of the problems with the youth these days because of them not having the skills of leadership. Like maybe problems, social problems, or fitting in, or maybe persuading of friends to do right and stay away from wrong. I mean, we already have so many things like hifz. We have Quran, hifz on the masjid, alhamdulillah, Islamic education, activities for the youth, a Muslim environment for our kids to be in. But what do we need? What are we missing here? We need leadership. Leadership is what we need in our lives. Some skills of leadership could be public speaking, as I'm doing right now, or debate, youth going around winning debates, media, something happens, something big happens, and Fox News is there, and they ask somebody what happened, and he knows how to speak to them, how to get the point across to them, and most importantly, da'wah. With these skills, you can go and you make da'wah like a pro. So how are we going to achieve these goals? How are the youth going to get these skills? Well, every week I attend this program called CAIR. And this program has helped me with so many things like public speaking, as I'm doing right now. I could not be here doing this without the help of Brother Faizan. Every week I go to his class and helps with this. I would be scared, very scared right now if it wasn't for him. We have so many masjids in St. Louis. We have Dar Jalal, Dar Salam. As I said, we have 18 Islamic and all these places. We can bring CAIR to all these places. Imagine how many youth would be going around knowing how to do public speaking like we are now, knowing how to debate and win the debates, doing da'wah all over the city, increasing the population of Muslims in St. Louis. This is such a great thing. So please, if you'd like to support this great cause, this is your chance. Thank you.
I'd like for you to also listen to Sister Zara. She'll come and give her words.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Zahra Yahya. I'm 14 years old and I've been going to All Sundays for 4 years. Inshallah, I will be graduating this year. My goals in the future is to become a pediatrician, but my passion is to help spread it and preach Islam to others. A lot of Muslims in general don't know how to speak in public. They either stutter while voicing their own opinions, nor do we fully grasp what they're trying to say. I remember when I first started the CAIR program, I was stuttering like crazy, neither did I have a fully grown opinion on top of that. The CAIR program has taught me how to see events that have happened in the past and that will happen in the future, not only with a great perspective, but an Islamic one as well. The CAIR program has been a great influence on me and has helped me become a better speaker, and I can't wait to see how much it will benefit me as well as others in the future. Jazakallah.
MashaAllah, Takbir. 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 These are just two of the students that we have right now in the youth leadership program as well. In order for us to expand this leadership program, so that way it can help the Arab community, so it can help the Somali community, the Afghani community, so it can help the Balti community, the largest population of Muslims inside this city, we need your financial support in order to increase this capacity. Right now, the cost in order to create this campaign and to expand it will be $12,500 for the next year. In order to get about 60 to 70 students to participate and graduate for 1 year of that program. What does this money involve, and what does it actually pay for? The majority of it involves paying to actually have professionals come and speak them. We don't only have CAIR representatives teaching these students. We also work with other organizations, Christian organizations, Jewish organizations, unions of all people, in order to teach these young men and women on how to become leaders and how to become successful within what they're doing. And we want to make sure we have the best opportunities for these individuals. That way they're able to help their community. $12,500, and with that amount of funds, we'll be able to start the program and inshallah sustain it for 1 year and then continue it every year after that. I had the pleasure of speaking with Brother Hassan as well, and he said that's not enough. CAIR, we need more than just a youth leadership program. Fundamentally, as an organization and as a community here in St. Louis, we have been lacking. And we have been lacking on really serious issues. Those issues that we've been lacking, the most important of those issues is to have a full-time attorney here in St. Louis who is the community's attorney. So when people are discriminated against, when people are harassed, when people are abused, that they know they can call CAIR and CAIR can then give it to an attorney who's then immediately going to take on that case. Right now, the way we've been operating is when we have an issue come up, we then have to go out of our way and find an attorney. Jim Hacking, Azra Ahmed, so many more names that you know, Muslims and non-Muslims. Sometimes these attorneys can take on the case, sometimes through just miscommunication, negligence, they're unable to do it. These cases fall through the cracks. That is unacceptable. We, right here, right now today, we want to raise $12,500 to help 60 to 70 youth within our community get the best leadership program that we can provide, and to hire another $30,000 so we can then hire a full-time attorney who can then take on these cases, not only for the West County community, but for the entire community as well. Many of you may not know, but CAIR, just this last week, we have had over 15 calls from members of the Muslim community asking for our help. And you might be wondering, why is that going on? Well, all of you know the answer. Earlier this week, you had 3 Bosnians from the Bosnian community be arrested on quote-unquote charges of supporting terrorism. The reality is that I can't discuss that case too much, but what's the result of that? Media output is that first and foremost, Bosnians now in South City and South County, when they go grocery shopping, when they go to the schools, when they go in public, they are now being targeted. They are now being singled out. They are now being picked on. I've had people call me and said, I've never even really practiced Muslim. I'm a Muslim. I was born Muslim, but I don't really practice. But yet somebody came when I was at the grocery store and they cursed me out and they said that, we are going to kill you. And they said Bosnians. And this person, they were in the Bosnian genocide as well. They survived it. They lived through it. And they came to America seeking help. And when they funded. And the group that they're turning to is CAIR. But sadly, we do not have the capacity to help all of these individuals who have very serious needs. But a way for us today is to have one full-time attorney here. And again, $30,000 is not a lot of money in order to pay that attorney, inshallah. So for tonight, our goal as fundraising comes are two. One, to have a youth leadership program that covers the entire community, not just West County. And secondly, for us to have one full-time attorney who can take on these and many other cases that happen throughout the year. I think that raising $45,000. I think raising the $45,000. Raising the $45,000 is not too much, and inshallah we can, and we will, and we must be able to accomplish that goal here this evening. Without further ado, I want to introduce our main speaker. After he's done speaking, we will then do the fundraising portion, and then we'll have dinner. Hassan Shelby, he needs no introduction. Many of you heard him yesterday at the khutbah. He's the executive director of CAIR Florida, and he's also an attorney as well. With that, I will stop, and I would like to invite Hassan Shelby to come and share a few words.
جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله. My brothers and sisters, today we're here on a tremendous mission. And that mission is to invest in the defense of our deen, and in the defense of our fellow Muslimin, and in the defense of justice for all of humanity, because that is what our faith is about. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum wa ardahum, they worshipped Allah by night, and they struggled to defend the deen by day. And we see what happens when we do not invest in fighting Islamophobia. Dia, Razan, Yusuf, three wonderful individuals from our community lost their lives this week because our community did not invest in fighting Islamophobia as it should have invested. Because the enemies of Islam right now are spending literally tens of millions of dollars. In the latest report, $150 million to demonize Islam and to scare away our children from practicing Islam. The reason they're spending that money is not to scare non-Muslims from Islam, it's actually to scare Muslims away from Islam, because they recognize this deen is the source of our success and honor. And that's what keeps me. At CAIR Florida, we work about 17 hours a day, every single day. We have right now about 2-3 years ago, we were just 2 full-time staff members. Now we're about 17 full-time staff members. And still, rarely do I get home in time to see my children awake. There is that much work to be done to defend civil rights, to fight Islamophobia. And it scares me whenever I visit a state and I see that this state has 0 people working full-time to defend the community. We can't afford that. We can't afford not to have that full-time lawyer. We can't afford not to invest in supporting our youth and empowering them to overcome the challenges that they will be facing. Challenges that we created and that our generation created. It is our duty upon us to support our youth so that they can overcome the challenges that they will be facing. Allah will ask us about that. And subhanAllah, I'm very much inspired. Wallahi, when I heard the young brother and the young sister speaking, the sincere thought came to my heart that there was no reason for me to come here today. Because mashallah, they can handle it. And the reason they can handle it is because of the tremendous training CAIR St. Louis has offered them and given them. And I'm inspired by the young brother and the young sister that I heard speak today. I've traveled and spoken across America at many lectures in many states, and not once have I seen 2 young individuals speak so articulately, mashallah. This is the investment of our future. Allahu Akbar, you're a hero. All of you are heroes. You have something to be proud and grateful for. And I'm very impressed by CAIR St. Louis for this program, mashallah. And this is just the beginning. This is them doing this without a full-time staff, without a full-time lawyer, without a full-time youth coordinator, without a full-time government affairs coordinator. Now is the time to start investing. This is just the beginning. And really, we can't afford not to support these programs, my brothers and sisters. I want to read to you a message written by a person by now we all know and many of us love. The message is as follows. He says, I have a dream one day to have a unified and structured community. A unified and structured community. To have a voice in our society and support the youth with their projects. That was the dream of Dia Barakat. He wrote that on Twitter not too long ago. I think Allah accepted his dream. I have no doubt Allah accepted his dream. With his sincerity, Allah has made him a role model Muslim for all humanity to witness the beauty of our deen, to witness the message of human service, to witness the message of peace and compassion and helping the poor and needy that was embodied in Dia Barakat. He offered his life for that message. Today you're being asked to offer a few dollars for that message. Will you answer the call of Allah? Will we answer? Will we give life to Dia's dream? What was Dia's dream? There were three main parts of that dream. One, to have a unified community. Alhamdulillah, we saw a whole community awakening now. Activists, with scholars, with lawyers, Muslims and non-Muslims getting together to say enough is enough. We cannot tolerate hate. We cannot tolerate fear. We cannot tolerate prejudice. It will destroy our nation. It will destroy our land. We must be united to overcome it, my brothers and sisters. And that's the reality of the danger of Islamophobia. Because today, more civil rights and freedoms in America are being lost in the name of Islamophobia than anything else. Why are we in this country? Many of us are immigrants. And be honest with yourself. Why are you in America today? You're in America because you did not find the opportunity and the freedom in your home countries that you did in America. So you came to this country seeking opportunity and seeking freedom. And the selfish person is the one who takes but does not give. And who does not thank the people, does not thank Allah, as Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam taught us. This country has given us freedom and opportunity, but now is the time that we invest in this nation to provide more freedom and more opportunity for the youth that will grow up. Allah is calling upon you. Allah has chosen you for this message. So take a moment and thank Allah. Take a moment and say Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Why? Because of the 100,000 Muslims in St. Louis, He chose you, selected souls that I have chosen you for me, for my service, for the service of defending the deen, for the service of challenging Islamophobia, for the service of defending La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. You are the ones that were chosen. Look around the room. What is greater than giving from your wealth and your time and your energy to defend the kalima of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah? Is there a greater act? The one who gives $1 to defend the honor of Islam, it is multiplied at least 700 times by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The one who studies the sciences, as these youth, mashallah, are studying the sciences, and I'm so inspired by them. And I hope we can recreate this program in Florida with the special training, inshallah, from CAIR St. Louis. But the one who learns a science to defend the deen of Islam, he is written, or she is written, amongst the martyrs and the scholars and the prophets. There's nothing greater in our time, wallahi. Teaching the deen, practicing the deen, and most importantly, also defending the deen. And that's what CAIR St. Louis is investing. That lawyer, what's his job? It's to defend any Muslim who was wrong because they said La ilaha illallah. That's what that lawyer is doing. That's what his job is going to be. So give from it and leave your trust with Allah, and trust Allah with your wealth today. Say, Ya Allah, I have this money, most likely I'm not going to use it in my life because Alhamdulillah you gave me so much. Keep it with you, use it for your deen on the day of judgment when my sins are chasing me and my negligence is chasing me. Ya Allah, save me on that day through this contribution to defend Islam. And this is why the contribution you give today to support CAIR St. Louis, my brothers and sisters, by supporting CAIR St. Louis, you will, inshallah, get the reward of supporting every single Islamic cause and cause of justice in this state and in this country. Because CAIR's effort is to defend all these efforts and make these efforts a reality. Allah loves those who stand for justice. Allah loves those who sacrifice to defend the deen. And that's what the work of CAIR is. So alhamdulillah, we thank Allah that He has chosen us to do this. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he warned us. He said, مَنْ لَمْ يَهْتَمْ بِأُمُورِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ فَلَيْسَ مِنْهُمْ. Whoever is not concerned of the not from amongst them. Whoever is not concerned with the affairs of the Muslims is not of them. Are we not concerned about the affairs of Islam today? Are we not concerned about the state of Islamophobia today? Are we not concerned about the future of our youth? If we are, is it a time that we invest in a full-time effort to defend Islam and Muslims in St. Louis and in Missouri? What other organization is doing this work? We can't afford not to invest, my brothers and sisters, in CAIR. That's why we offer this sacrifice. I often say, people say, Brother Hassan, how do you work so often? I say, working for CAIR, it is not a career, it is not a job, it is a passion and a mission and a duty and an obligation upon us. This is an obligation. And we should not be proud that we donate to CAIR. Rather, we should be humbled that Allah has accepted us to use from our wealth to defend the deen, because He didn't need to. And I'll be honest, and I haven't said this before, but I'm actually envious of Brother Dia. I'm very envious of him. Because mashallah, he lived a short life, and in that life he's done more for the deen than I know I can ever imagine doing for the next 100 years if I were to live it. And yet he has been saved from the fitna of this dunya and he's returned to the rahmah of Allah. That's a blessing. But we don't want to be responsible for the murder of the next Dia or the next Yusuf or the next Razan because we didn't do anything to challenge Islamophobia when the caller called you and you did not answer. So give a little bit, let it hurt a little bit. It's okay. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would gather Sahaba to galvanize them, to invest in the defense of the deen and the community, and learn from the other communities. What you are giving today, by the way, I don't know if they told you, but CAIR St. Louis today is not accepting any donations. Did you know that? Did you tell them we're not taking any donations? If I sound okay, you're like, what's going on? They're only accepting investments. These aren't just donations. A donation is something you lose. You're not losing what you give today. You're investing in that young sister, in that young brother, in the beautiful faces you see around you. You're investing in their future to be proud Muslims and to defend the kalima of La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. My brothers and sisters, we're all here because we believe in that. We believe in a society where our sisters don't have to choose between wearing hijab or pursuing their education. We're here because we believe in a society where people don't have to fear intimidation or harassment or fear for their life because they practice the deen. We have to translate these beliefs now into action by investing in defending the civil rights of this community and being a beacon of hope and justice for all humanity. Don't wait till it's too late. Allah wants from a sacrifice. It's required, obligatory. You're not going to enter Jannah without sacrifice. حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يعلم الله الذين جاهدوا منكم and Allah, do you think you will enter Jannah without knowing, with Allah testing you, see who will struggle from you and who is patient from you? This is the time to struggle. Our struggle is with our wealth. Support these Islamic causes. If we don't struggle voluntarily, then you may be like that person who struggles by force. This lawyer, $30,000, $40,000 for a full-time lawyer per year. If you get into trouble by the FBI, even though you didn't do anything wrong, you'll spend double that trying to defend your name. In the last year alone, CAIR has helped over 40 Muslims who were wrongfully arrested by the FBI. Every time they got a phone call from us, the FBI never bothered that Muslim again. 40 people. I walked in the room, they wanted to meet with the community leader. She ran one of the Islamic schools. She walked in for the meeting, and then the FBI walked in, they saw me, they said, "Are you her lawyer?" I said, "Yes." They said, "We can't speak to you," and they ran out. Allahu Akbar. And never bothered her again. This is a proactive defense of the community. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. Give for the sake of Allah and don't lead yourselves to destruction. Because when you don't give to defend your civil rights and your freedom and to defend the kalima, which the Sahaba gave their blood for. Imagine if the Sahaba weren't willing to sacrifice. Imagine if the Sahaba weren't willing to be identified as Muslims. Imagine if the Sahaba weren't willing to rock the boat sometimes. Do you think we would be Muslim today? We are Muslim today because the Sahaba sacrificed yesterday. We must sacrifice today if we want our children to be Muslim tomorrow. Think about that. Allah says, وَأَنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. Give in the path of Allah, and CAIR is amongst the highest levels of the path of Allah, and do not lead yourselves to destruction. Why? Because if you don't give to invest in your community, to invest in your talented youth, to companies are investing in the Islamophobia industry. Don't let their hate for Islam be more than our love for Islam. Do you want to be that person on the Day of Judgment? Allah shows you, look at this kafir, he gave this much money and this much time to attack Muhammad Rasulullah. What did you give to defend Muhammad Rasulullah? Don't let us be shamed that they gave more, that they tried more, that their hatred for our deen was more than our love for the deen. So as I said, my brothers and sisters, today we must invest in our future, and we see, and I will end with this point, that Allah in the last 3 years I've noticed has been advancing the deen through the sacrifice of the youth. More so than the sacrifice of the elders. And in my career at CAIR Ford, I've seen that every single year for the last 3 years. In 2012, there was a young man. He had a troubled history, but he was turning to Allah. In fact, by the end of his life, he was known to spend his time reading Quran in the masajid. The FBI wanted to interview him. He thought, I've done nothing wrong, I have nothing to hide, let me meet with them. The FBI went to him and his friends and they said, you have two options. You can spy for us on the masajid, on the hookah lounges, and on the halal restaurants, or we'll take away your green cards and throw you in jail. He refused. After 6 hours of interrogation in his home, they shot him 3 times in the back, once in the back of the head. That exposed the FBI's abusive program that was wrongfully targeting the Muslim community and humiliated the oppressor, that agent. In fact, that agent, we did a study that doesn't reflect the FBI, of course, they're trying to keep our nation safe, but every group has its own bad apples. It turns out that FBI agent who shot and killed him had been sued twice and investigated 4 times for beating up suspects, beating up witnesses, and falsifying evidence. And that was the agent that was knocking on the door of the Muslims. Who exposed him? CAIR did, as we worked with the Boston Globe in a partnership. And it became all over the national news. But a young man, 26 years old, had to lose his life. Maybe if CAIR was stronger and he had heard our Know Your Rights training, and knew that it was the American thing not to meet with them without a lawyer, he might have still been alive had the qadr of Allah been different. But Allah used him to raise awareness about our rights to all the nation. SubhanAllah, when he was killed, you know what the Boston Globe told me? Wesley Lowery, a famous reporter of the Boston Globe, called me and said, Hassan, I almost wish that it was a black man and not a Muslim man that was killed, because if it was a black man, all the nation would have risen in protest. But you Muslims, you're too afraid to speak out. And that really hit home. So alhamdulillah, CAIR proudly represented him and his family. We exposed it just now, getting ready to sue the government and teach them a lesson that our blood is not cheaper than anyone else's blood. That's the youth. Another youth. Last year, Tariq Khadir, 15 years old, beaten by the Israelis on camera. CAIR Ford, that we spoke about yesterday, within 48 hours was able to get him out of jail. In a couple weeks, bring him back safely. And subhanAllah, I had members of Congress hug him and crying. Members of Congress crying, saying, we didn't know that was the situation in the Middle East. Members of the media telling me, Hassan, the Tariq Khadir case, which we, in just 1 weekend, we recorded over 4,000 news sources, viewed by over 15 million Americans, 15 million people. Netanyahu canceled, he was planning to come here, he canceled a trip to America when he was exposed and embarrassed on national television. So the reporter told me, Hassan, CAIR has completely changed our understanding of the Middle East conflict. And that's the point. Sometimes we think the government or the society or the media is against us. It's not against us. It's that our enemies are doing a lot to shape the government and shape the media according to their needs. And we have done very little, if nothing. And we don't even have a full-time media person in this community to engage the media. And then you're going to be upset that the media is against you? Well, it's your fault. I'm sorry if I'm being too harsh. But Allah says, speak the truth. So we should have, don't settle for a lawyer just alone. You need a lawyer, a communications director as well. These are reality, these are following, these are wajib. This is a form of striving for our deen today. And he said, your engagement with the media has completely changed our perception of what's happening. Tariq Khadir was used. And now most recently we see the model Muslims, model Americans, Dia Baraka, Razan, and Yusuf, who gave their life in the service of humanity. Their death has shattered all the stereotypes about Islam. People looked into their lives. I was reading the last text message he sent, and it was just about how can we help the homeless. I was reading the messages he sent my father. How can we help the refugees? That's all he cared about. Serving others and standing up for the beauty of Islam. But what it takes, my brothers and sisters, Allah will take the sacrifice from the youth, and that's what Allah has done. But it takes the investment from the elders to provide the infrastructure where the sacrifice of the youth is not lost in vain. And that's the main message here. Our youth may sacrifice, but if we don't empower them, if we don't provide them the infrastructure for their sacrifice and their message and their story to be heard, then we've let their lives go in vain. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless the St. Louis community to be a leading community of justice and civil rights and human rights for all humanity and the whole world.
Okay, we have another question, session.
Inshallah, let's afterwards have some support, and then we'll be happy to stay around and answer any questions. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless this community. I'll tell you, here 4 to 3 years ago, we had 2 full-time staff. We were drowning in debt. Today, the ACLU and the Florida Bar and the NAACP, when any Floridian is oppressed, they send them to us. We are giving back America the freedom that it gave us. Likewise, may Allah bless this community to be known. The Muslims, they are the ones who stand for justice for all humanity. Please do what you can. Give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to empower our youth and to invest in the defense of La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. May Allah accept us with his beloved Prophet, the martyrs and the scholars. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Takbir! 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 My brothers and sisters, I'll keep this very short. Inshallah, you know the amount that we need. We are hoping to raise $45,000 right here, right now, before we start serving dinner, inshallah. We won't serve dinner though, even if we don't raise that amount, but we need that amount. That is how much we need. That's how much we need right here, right now, today. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He reminds you and I that the money and the wealth that we have, that we enjoy, is not actually our wealth. This is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is why He used the rhetoric that who will loan Allah the money He's giving you for a beautiful loan. And this is a type of loan that we're asking each and every one of you here to make. Are there 2 Muslims right here, right now? An uncle, an auntie, a brother, a sister, who can start us off by donating $5,000 each? $5,000 each, only seeking the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Out of $45,000, $5,000 each will help us get to $35,000. It'll be a great start for our program as well. $5,000 inshallah, starting the program out. I know many of you are hesitant because we donate to so many different causes. The masjid needs a new parking lot. This place needs a new chandelier. Hey, we should pay the electrical bill here. My brothers and sisters, that is just a building. That is stuff. That is the foundation of our community, and these bills need to be paid. But more importantly, we need to pay the bills of the heart. What those bills require to build the heart of the community and to build the mind of the community, to build the leadership of our community. Unless we are able to accomplish that, unless we are able to successfully fundraise for that, we will not have a community in the future. Right now, we have the phenomena of the unmosqued. People who grow up in the United States, but they feel as if the masjid does not represent them, that this community center is not where I belong. And if you don't belong in that structure, then you'll belong somewhere else. These types of programs, these types of initiatives are what build and strengthen the very Islamic center that all of us have worked so hard to build. This is how we make the communities vibrant. Unless we have vibrant people, unless we have vibrant individuals, then the buildings are just that, they're buildings. You know, I know a lot of Turkish people within the city of St. Louis, and the Turkish community, mashallah, they're very energetic, they're a very strong community here. But when you go to Turkey, if you ever travel to Turkey, whether you go to the Blue Mosque there, or some of the giant Islamic centers that are there, and you go there from Maghrib or Isha or Fajr, nobody is there. You have a building that can fit almost 10,000 people, but yet despite being able to fit 10,000 people, less than 10 people even show up, and one of them is the imam and the other one is his son. That is not a community that we can have. That is not a society that we need to have. And we need to have 2 people right here, right now, who can donate $5,000, inshallah, for this type of program. Not to buy carpet, not to buy a chandelier, not to fix potholes, but to buy the investment of our youth within our community. Is there anybody here who will donate $5,000 right here, right now? Inshallah, if you will, just please raise your hand. I don't like doing the bidding, going once, going twice. Oh, Allah Akbar, the bidding. Okay, I should do the bidding. We actually have one person. May Allah bless you and guide you and reward you and your family, allow you to be a pillar in the community. Allow this generosity that you're giving to help thousands of people. To the beer, Allah Akbar. The beer. The beer. I don't want to do all the talking. My brothers and sisters, these two people, may Allah bless them. May Allah guide them. May Allah make their hearts be pure of their sins. May on the day of judgment, when they see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the word that each and every one of us want to hear. And that is, I am pleased to see you. I am pleased to see you. Ya Allah, may their donation be the guide and be the source to achieve that goal. Is there somebody else who right here, right now, wants to donate $5,000? We have two sisters. Is there somebody from the men right here, right now, the rijal, the men of the community, the ones who are the foundation of this community? Is there somebody right here, right now, who wants to donate another $5,000, making our amount be $15,000, only seeking the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only doing it because you understand that your children are worth the investment, only because you understand that your children need these type of skills in order to build a community. You know, sadly and tragically, all of us, I want you to stop for a second, and I want you to think about your family and your best friends. How many people do we know personally who were very wealthy, who actually have wealthy lives, who have big homes, who have great jobs, but yet their children no longer speak to their parents? How many people do we know within our families or within our circles who they did everything right? They took their kids to private school, they gave them the toys, they gave them everything that they wanted, but despite giving them their worldly benefit, the children don't even want to talk to their parents. Astaghfirullah. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. This is something that all of us know. It is a part of each and every one of your families, each and every one of our communities. We can save ourselves from this disaster, save ourselves from this terrible reality by investing right here, right now, today. Because what the youth need, what the next generation needs, is not a bigger gym, is not a bigger building. What the youth need is they need their hearts to be strengthened. They need an Islamic identity. They need to be able to love Islam and realize that their Islam is not a weakness. It is not something to apologize for. Rather, it is something great, something that can transform themselves and transform the society as well. You know, subhanAllah, since I came back to St. Louis when I was in college, I was kind of a weird person. I don't know if any of you knew me when I first came back to St. Louis. I had the Pakistani beard, trimmed mustache, pants above the ankles. My dad knows, he thought I was a crazy person, But what happened is, as I matured, I started giving a lot of dawah within the city of St. Louis. And since I started giving dawah, just with a few efforts, we had over 20, 30 people become Muslim. And many of these people you know as well. Not because of me or anything that I did, because I was a weird, goofy kid. But rather, it's because I was happy to be Muslim. I was proud to be Muslim. And now these people who have become Muslim, many of these people you know personally, I won't say their names, but you know them. They come to the mosque. These people are happy to be Muslim. And what do they say about them being Muslim? Is that Islam is something that gave me peace in my heart when I did not have it. Islam is something that is a community that I can be a part of. And of course, you guys have the best food. That may be the Muslim food that we have. Another reality that we face here right now is that we need to be able to raise this money in order to defend the civil rights of all Americans, Muslims living with this country today. Since I started with CAIR, we've had cases of women having their hijab snatched off by the police. We've had Muslims beaten. We've had mosques burned down totally to the ground. We've had media people directly and purposely target the American Muslim population, whether it's in Columbia, Missouri or San Jose. We have had all these tragedies. We've had people in Jefferson City, politicians come out and say that there's a Muslim problem in the state of Missouri because they live in rural Missouri where they've never met a single Muslim in their life. Who's going to speak to these people? You and I can't. I can do it. You can't do it, of course. You can't do it. But it requires an organization that goes out into these areas and holds the media accountable, that goes to Jefferson City and talks to these politicians. $2,500. Can we get 2 people right here, right now, to donate that amount? Going once, going twice. Allah Akbar Takbir. I'm going to say 3 times. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. And bless you because you are the fundamental pillar of this community. MashaAllah, Dr. Kadiri donated. He's an amazing inspiration to all of us here. Can we have somebody match? I can't go on now because one person did it. I need a pair. I need a second person. Everything comes in 2s. You're married in 2s. You know, everything happens in 2s. Can we have one more person to do $2,500, inshallah, only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to defend the rights of Muslims within this country? One more person, going once, going twice, you're not children. Go 3 times here, alhamdulillah, $2,500. Oh no, Allah Akbar, takbir. Allah Akbar, you know, I guess I rush too much. Maybe that's the difference between a great fundraiser and somebody like me. You know, subhanAllah, I went to a fundraising program in Dallas, and there's this guy who was talking, you know, he's mashallah, like, as Muslim and as Arab as they come, right? And he's talking, he's going on, and he just, you know, mashallah, great fundraiser. That's beside the point. Let's go down. $1,000. Can we get 10 people to donate $1,000? Allah Akbar, takbir, Allah Akbar. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and bless your children, especially your 2 new children. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow them to become righteous pillars in the religion. And inshallah, when they become that old, they can do in the CAIR program. We'll teach them public speaking, debating. We'll have them getting involved in this. That's 1 down, 9 to go. Can we get 9 other people right now to raise your hand? MashaAllah, 2 down. Takbir. 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 Man, all you like, man, I have dinner. 3. Can I get the 3rd person? Takbir. Can we get 4 people right now? 4th person right here, right now. $1,000. That's literally is less than $100 a month, which is about $87 something, whatever it is. That's beside the point. The point is not about what. The point is you guys have money. You need to donate what this costs. We need a 4th person right here, right now, to donate $1,000 over a year, inshallah. 1 other person, 4. That way you can get up to 5. We need 2 more people. Allah Akbar. May Allah bless you and also bless the great work you're doing, especially the Union Production Foundation. We're coming here. They're going to raise some money for a great film coming up in the future. May Allah bless you and guide your work. We need the 5th person right here, right now, to donate. And that way we can move on. 5 people, that's all we need. That's the 5th person is what's keeping you from your dinner, not me. I'm not doing anything. I'm just talking. But if you want to have dinner, we need the 5th person right here, right now, to donate for this cause. Can we get 1 other person? Don't raise your hand unless you got the money, unless you're going to need a father to do it. Allah Akbar, I'll count that. 5. Takbir. Allah, I got the dad dinner. All right, children. We have to get more children to come to these programs because the children can raise their hands, and then the parents are obligated. You know, that's one of the great things about being a parent. Your kids do something good, you get the benefit. If they don't, that's CAIR. All right, let's move down to $500 a month. This should be fairly easy. Can we get 10 people to do $500 a month? 10 people to do $500 a month. $500 is not that much. It's about, I don't know, 50,000 rupees a month, whatever it is. But we 10 people to do $500 a month. Can we get it very quickly? I know everybody's hungry right here, right now. Let's just have everybody raise their hand. $500 a month. How many of you? A year, yes. $500 a year. Allah Akbar. Not a month.
That's why nobody's ready.
That makes it easier. All of you are like $500 a month. $500 a year. A year. Okay, let's get 10 people $500 in 1 year. This is the last outreach. This is the last push. Inshallah, $500 a year.
Is the previous one $1,000 a month? Or
No, a year.
I just want to think about that.
All right, people, we have 4 minutes to get 10 people to do $500 a month. If you want to do it, just raise your hand or raise something, or text me, call me, whatever it is. We get 10 people to do $500 over a year. To get the first person right here, right now. The first person, $500 in 1 year to do it. I don't see any hands going up, but that doesn't mean it's going up. Let's just do the countdown. Going once. Going twice. CAIR, I know that a lot of people have already donated $500 and $10,000 and $5,000, so we won't push it too much longer. With that, I'm going to invite our esteemed president. He's going to get some final remarks, final closing words, and then inshallah we'll be able to eat dinner. May Allah bless all of you for coming here today, for supporting CAIR and the work we do and the growth we hope to achieve. And inshallah, by doing so, you will build a better community that all of us will be proud of. Inshallah, Dr. Adil will speak only for a few minutes, and then we will dismiss you for dinner, inshallah. Dr. Adil.
Thank you, Faizan, for assisting us in this way. I have some interesting memories from medical school. As you all know, I went to the UMKC 6-year program, which it seemed like when I was there at the time, there were 3 of us Muslims. in that first year. Nowadays it seems I've heard that practically a third of the class are Muslim, so we've gone from 3 out of 100 to almost 33 or 30 out of 100. That's quite a change. But there's a couple of things from medical school that I remember that this whole experience here tonight has brought back to my memory. 1 month I spent in the most rural county in all of Missouri. It's in southwestern part of Missouri. It's the only county at the time that had no traffic light, no stoplight, and no franchise of any sort. No McDonald's, no Burger King, no franchise hotel chain. It was just that rural. And I wanted to spend 1 month on the rural medicine rotation, just to see what that is like. And I was assigned to a family physician. It was all family medicine, basically, and they had specialists come in maybe once a week or maybe twice a week for some specialties. And because it was a rural practice, a rural setting, part of that experience as a family medicine physician, it took me one day between rounds. We went to a cattle auction, and this is showing me what the life is there like. So inshallah, hopefully there will be no need for CAIR someday, because we don't have these issues of being involved in media and government and civic life. As you know, hopefully someday there wouldn't be that need, but there will be, of course, for the future. And the one thing is that if there wasn't that need someday, Faison can always get a job at these cattle auctions, these cattle. If you've ever been to a Faison, you probably don't quite understand, but maybe. But that's how quickly they speak and try to get these cattle sold, for $1,000 or $500 or whatever it may be. But the more important memory that I'd like to discuss with you all tonight, that I had in medical school is, of course, you learn all types of things about what drugs to give and when. What patients should have surgeries, what sort of lifestyle medications they need. There's all kinds of things to learn. But some of the things that impact you most have really nothing to do with direct patient care. One of my most interesting learnings happened to also be on the family medicine rotation, except that this was in the suburbs of Kansas City. One day when I was just a little bit slow, the family medicine physician I was assigned to just happened to notice my name. And remember, this is back in 1994, 95. Not so many Muslims in the Kansas City area, or even throughout the country. We've had tremendous growth in these last 20 years. But he said to me, you're a Muslim, aren't you? And I thought that was kind of interesting. How does a white American, physician in a rural area, or not rural area, but Midwest, at a time when you don't have so many Muslims, how does he know that my name is a Muslim name? And then so basically we got to talking about that. And it's interesting what he had said after I mentioned, yes, I am Muslim. He said, yes, I've had lots of Muslim patients in these last 2 years. I was wondering, I was thinking to myself, where are these Muslim patients? We don't see any here this last month. I've been here in medical school for the past 2 years. There are hardly any Muslims in Kansas City. And then he explained to me, he had just recently come back from a 2-year trip that he had to Africa. And he explained to me how half of his patients are Muslims. And the interesting thing about this is not a paid job. This is volunteer work. This is 2 years. This is before the internet was commonly used and everything. Before you had WhatsApp, picking up with people, before you had your Facebook and email and all that. Before that all became mainstream. For 2 years, he didn't know what the sports scores were, at least not in a timely manner. For 2 years, he hardly spoke with his family. And it wasn't really until I started private practice that I began to realize 2 years, that's 2 years of income he could not take. Also that he could spend time with the people there in Africa in some remote village to help them out with their healthcare needs. And he was very dedicated. 2 years where he spent the time with the missionaries there in Africa, catering to the needs of Muslims. And of course the non-Muslims there too, which Africa has many Christians too. And it began to make me wonder later on during that week, what would I give up 2 years of my income for someday? And what if I just worked at my job for 2 years and just gave away everything I made in those 2 years? What would I do that for? Well, this is a person who had some convictions about what he believed in, and he was willing to back it up in terms of the financial side. It's something that for all of us to think about. What do we truly value to give so much of ourselves? And how many of us have ever done anything like that or ever plan to? And of course, I'm not asking for 2 years of your income tonight, although if you want to give that, and we're more than happy to take it. They'll do very well for us for the years to come. That's more than a year's budget that we have in mind, perhaps considering some of people's incomes here, for sure. But basically, the bottom line is that if we want something, we really have to sacrifice for it. But the interesting thing about the sacrifices that we're asking for you to make tonight are they're not really expenses. These are truly investments in the future. These are investments in the youth. This is an investment for the generations to come. If we don't start doing these things now, when will we? Next year? 5 years from now? Do we have to wait till the next generation grows up and wonders what were we doing with our years when we had a chance to make a difference? When will we be ready to decide that yes, we really will fund having an attorney here full time? When will we decide that, well, we really do want to have a leadership program for the youth? And many of us think that money is power. That's often what is the theme that's told in society, not just necessarily in the Muslim community, but just globally, that's the thought. Well, the reverse is also true too. Power is money. When we can intervene on someone who's being discriminated or against at their job or lost their job unfairly, and we get them reinstated within a week or whatever it is, well, they have an earnings which they can spend to take care of themselves. They don't need zakat money to be taken care of, or sadaqah money. They're getting the income that they should have been getting for the time that they were dismissed from their job unfairly. So power is money too. And it's up to us. Are we content with the bare minimums and almost nothing? Or do we want to have a 5-star operation? Are we a 1-star community? How many of you stay at 1-star hotels when you go traveling? Maybe some of us will do because they don't have the money, they make, whatever it is, minimum wage or less than that even. How many of you here? I personally don't. In fact, I almost don't even want to stay in a 3-star hotel anymore. At the time I used to. Now I get to do it for 4 or 5. Especially for conventions, which it's all tax deductible and everything. And the question is, why do we want to spend money only on ourselves and not think about spending money on ourselves? That's an investment. And the interesting thing about those of us here, we don't have to make that choice for most of us. We don't have to choose between going to India and Pakistan or whatever country we want to visit this year and supporting CAIR St. Louis. We can't afford to do both. The question is, are you willing to make that investment? And on this night, we've had a lot of that support. And I'd like to see everyone in this room give some commitment this evening. If you haven't given a donation, or if you're relying on your spouse to, you give that donation yourself too. Even if it's just $100, that's better than zero. So I don't want to hold you all from dinner tonight, but we have to always consider that there's more to Islam than beautiful construction projects, real estate projects. A lot of Islam ultimately is about the mind. And a lot of how our success will be in the future in the Muslim community will be what's in the minds of our youth and the rest of the society. So with that, hopefully we can conclude and start dinner. I know that Faisal have a few concluding remarks here. Thank you for your attention.
All right, I don't have any concluding remarks. I just have what everybody is dying to hear. Okay, so how much did we raise? Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. Thanks to all of you. And first thing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then to all of you. We've been able to raise $36,440. $36,440. Takbir! 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 We have to do a takbir clap session sometime. But I encourage that's just 10% away from our overall goal. So before you leave, inshallah, as you're leaving, give another $100 or just give 10% more of your donation. You gave $5,000, gave $5,500, we'll make it $45,000, inshallah. Just 10% more will be there. We're not going to fundraise right now. I want everybody to get up and start having dinner. I'll ask the women to get up first. So ladies, please do get up and jazakallah